United Arab Emirates are developing at what feels like lightning speed, and that's especially in the business and finance sectors. Today, for example, the Israel-based investment platform, Our Crowd, headed by John Medved, has teamed with the Emirates Angels Investors Association to co-host a joint virtual presentation introducing investors in the UAE to tech opportunities. Well, earlier I spoke with Emirates Angels chairman Masaood Masaood from Abu Dhabi about his new collaborations with Israel. Masaood, Rahma Masaood, thank you for joining us. And let me start by complimenting you and Emirates Angels with the speed at which you've moved to set up this sort of joint event with Our Crowd. I mean, the ink is barely dry on that agreement between the UAE and Israel that was signed last week. So how did this collaboration come about, and how did it come about so quickly?
So thank you very much. To be honest, John has been wonderful. He's energy goals, I have to say. And it's just that, you know, I guess we clicked. John has been doing great stuff with Our Crowd. You know, he's been doing great stuff for the industry. And, you know, we're passionate people. We're passionate about investing in startups, passionate about the sector, and passionate about technology. So I think we fit together. And really, when we first talked together, what we saw was that there's so many ways we can collaborate. You know, the UAE is leading in the Arab world when it comes to the startups and to investing in startups. And it just makes sense that we, you know, start as soon as we can to collaborate with the Israeli startup sector.
Well, we certainly know a lot about Our Crowd. John Medved's been on the show many times. Tell us a little about Emirates Angels and the tech scene in the UAE.
So, yeah, the Emirates Angels Investors Association is a nonprofit. It's a federal association. We have a couple of goals. Basically, we want to spread the culture of angel investing in the UAE and in the Middle East. We also want to connect the potential investors to the startups. We also, part of our mandate is to connect to ecosystem partners, both regionally and globally, and similar associations around the world. The tech scene in the UAE has been rapidly growing, I have to say. In the Arab world, again, the United Arab Emirates is leading in terms of the companies invested in and the money invested in those companies. For the past decade, we've seen a tremendous amount of exits coming from the United Arab Emirates. I'm sure you've heard of a lot of them, such as Kareem, Soup.com. And it's pretty much growing and evolving rapidly. We also have, you know, part of the developing ecosystem report. We're proud to say that we have the #1 position in terms of the developing ecosystem. So everything is happening fast. We see tremendous growth opportunities in the future, and it's an exciting field to be in.
Right. Now, of course, the Israeli tech scene covers a very wide spectrum, Masaood. What are the more specific areas that you think would interest investors there, not just in the UAE, but let's say even the broader Gulf and Arab world that could be participating?
You know, that's a difficult question to answer, but there's so many sectors. Agri-tech, healthcare, AI are on top of my mind right now, but really, and you know, when it comes to investing in startups, I guess there's so many opportunities available all the time. So I wouldn't want to limit it to just a particular sector, but there you go. There's a few of them.
Right. Let me ask you what kind of reaction you've been getting and hearing since you announced this. And I really don't mean just limited to the tech sector or to investors. I mean, when people hear you're already doing this joint effort with an Israeli investment platform, just how is it being received there in Abu Dhabi and again elsewhere in the UAE or even the Arab world?
So it's more than positive, to be honest. You know, these are historic times. The UAE and Israel are leading the tech scene in the MENA region, and everyone's excited. You know, the amount of traction this has gained. A lot of Israeli companies are getting in touch with and connecting to UAE companies and vice versa. So it's exciting. Everyone's excited. Everyone's, blown away really by the speed of things and how everything is moving so fast. It's definitely a positive thing. It's historic.
Right. Now, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, I mean, they're economic powerhouses in their own right, but I know, and I've been to Dubai, they're also gateways to really the rest of the Gulf, the rest of the Arab world, for a lot of the outside that world. How much do you think that, for example, your association can be as a gateway between Israel and maybe even Arab investors coming from countries that Israel doesn't have relations with yet?
To be completely frank, when it comes to the internet, we're all living in one, under one roof, under one big kind of network. The opportunities are huge. The Emirates Angels Investors Association, like I said, we're more focused on the UAE and also connecting to other similar associations, similar ecosystem partners. So, the UAE has been historically a logistics center. It's been really a joining point between the East and the West. And we see that happening also in the digital sphere. There's, like I said, again, a lot of different success stories are coming out from the UAE, and we see a lot more coming from the region, whether it's the UAE investors investing in other places in the region, or also other investors investing in the UAE. But at the end of the day, it's about the network effect. It's about collaboration, and this is what we're here to really work on. We're working on the network effect. We're working on putting our hands together, whether it's with Israeli companies, investors, Middle East companies and investors, to really, and ecosystem partners, to really help ignite the startup ecosystem.
Right. Now, Masaood, because of the pandemic, this event is virtual, and I guess for the time being, all interactions are. But tell me personally, how excited are you to actually come to Israel and to start meeting personally and seeing and dealing with the tech side here face to face?
Israel is known, to be the startup nation, and we're super keen, super excited to visit. Everyone, really, it's not just myself. Everyone I know is super keen, super excited, and they can't wait to visit Israel.
Well, hopefully we're going to be able to host you perhaps here in our I-24 news studio when you come. Masaood, Rahma Masaood, chairman of the Emirates Angels Investors Association, thanks for joining us on the
Thank you. I'm looking forward to see you guys in the United Arab Emirates.
We're looking forward to. Thank you.